Live from New York, it's Ask This Engineer.
Hey everybody, welcome to another wonderful and fabulous and super blinky Ask Engineer. It's me, Lady Ada the Engineer. With me is Mr. Lady Ada on camera control.
I press buttons.
And pressing buttons and sound activation stuff. We got an exciting show tonight. We're broadcasting live from the Adafruit headquarters in downtown Manhattan. We got like so much stuff to talk about.
Yeah, it's a massive night.
We got discount codes. We've got like glowing rings of light.
It's a big night.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Let's just get started immediately.
Okay, on tonight's show, the code is Spark. We'll tell you why in just a few moments. We're going to talk about the show and tell. We had an amazing lineup on the show and tell. One of my favorite show and tell so far this year. It was really good.
You say that every week.
I know. When we do a best of, I can say all of them.
Yeah.
Packet mailbag, we'll stop by, read some mail from people who send us nice notes. Adafruit Jobs Board. Adafruit Learning System. Wearables. 3D printing. Raspberry Pi stuff. New products. We're going to answer your questions. We're going to have a trivia question. All that and more on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer. Okie dokie.
Okay.
Well, first let's pay some bills. The code tonight is Spark. Our friends at spark.io launched a product, and we are launching a product with them. So the code is Spark tonight. And we'll go over that in just a bit.
Yes.
And Zachary from Spark was on the show and
CTO,
tell.
who's co-founder.
And we'll talk about that soon too. But that's the reason for the code.
That's right.
Next up, Bitcoin. We still take it.
You still has Bitcoins? We take some.
Yeah, if you have Bitcoins, we can.
Get rid of those numbers.
We take
Those numbers is cluttering up your digital wallet.
Yeah, there is some, I guess, a Bitcoin enthusiast. I guess they have a Bitcoin site.
Yeah.
And they tweet to lots of people. When are you guys going to finally take Bitcoin? And they tweeted to me, and I said, "Aha!" I said, "We've been doing this for a year now, and then here's a guide on how to use Bitcoins on our site, and here's our first post about it, and here's all the things that we've been doing." And you're like, "Wow, that is so cool."
No,
So
we are so on top of this.
So we've been doing Bitcoin for about a year now. Maybe it's here to stay. We'll see. We like it.
We don't take Dogcoin or Litecoin yet, but that's because BitPay doesn't.
Yeah.
BitPay does, we will.
Not yet. Okay, so first up, the show and tell was massive. It was a full house. Lady Ada, the show and tell is every week, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. People from around the world show and share the things that they make. It's kind of like a little mini maker fair, right? On your desktop.
I like to say it's a pajama maker fair. You just put on your snuggles and you show up showing whatever.
Yeah. So
You don't have to fly to San Francisco or New York or Rome.
What was on the show and tell?
Okay, we had a super mega packed show and tell today. We started off with Tony DiColo from Adafruit Northwest. He was showing off the FT232H breakout that Tony and I worked on together. He actually showed up at a show and tell a long time ago with a cable, and I was like, "This is a really cool thing. It's a chip that is a general purpose GPIO, general purpose GPIO, I2C, SPI to USB converter back and forth. Basically, if you want to interact with SPI or I2C or IO devices through Python, and you don't want to have a microcontroller, this is like a little bridge controller. So we have those in the store, and he was showing off a demo where you can actually control Neopixels with them. It's handy, don't want to get an Arduino involved, don't want to get Arduino IDE running, you can use this chip. So we'll talk about that some more later. Noah and Pedro Ruiz showed up. They showed off the projects from this week and next week. This week, it is the little Wi-Fi finder. It's a little wearable Wi-Fi finding device. You can wear it, and it'll blink stronger when you're near open public Wi-Fi. And that's a project they did with Phil B. So it's a collab. And then they showed off next week's project, which is Mario coin jewelry. It's a little Mario coin box that when you tap it, it makes a ding sound, just like in Super Mario Brothers. There's another request from me. I just love these little jewelry. I want to wear jewelry, but it has to be electronicsy. So another project from them. Check out the video, and of course, watch tomorrow, 3D Thursday, 3D Hangouts on 3D Thursday, 3 p.m. on Thursdays. Watch it.
It's a bit of a tongue twister.
With the 3D printing enthusiasts.
Three.
Yeah. Matt, Noah, and Pedro. So check that out tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then we went to non-team Adafruit. We had Brittany Rush came over. She tried to show off last week, and she showed off her Mage hoodie. But this week she could actually demo it. She has a temperature scarf that changes temperature. It changes color based on temperature from kind of like a bluish reddish pink to a deep red color depending on the temperature. So a really nice change on our take on our temperature on our chameleon scarf, and he also showed off these really wicked mage sleeves that, like, depending on her hand location, sends out like spells or something. It like glows. This looks really neat. So check that out. And she posted in our wearable forum, so I gotta go find those postings. Roberto came by with an art gallery photo booth he worked on. He was just showing off this photo booth based on a Raspberry Pi, big button, all good. Let's see. The Bladesmith is a family, 3 people. Jennifer, and then I forgot the other 2 people's names. But together they made animatronic fairy wings for their 4-year-old daughter. These are like wings that actually flap when she walks. Like, it uses a sensor in the shoe, so when she walks, they flap with the walking.
So the show and tell is recorded, and it goes automatically YouTube. You gotta watch it. You have to watch it. So they CNC'd the wings, and there's a sensor in the shoe, and so this little girl, when she walks, she has these wings.
Yeah, but they flap like really elegantly.
This is a Adafruit power boost.
It uses our analog feedback servos. So the cool thing about the analog feedback servos is they let you, like, you put in programming mode, and then you move the wings the way you want them to flap, and then you can replay that motion. So it's much easier than like trying to calculate exactly how to get an organic looking motion. Instead, you just move it the way you want to, and it'll replay it. So those are amazing. Better cosplay than, like, this 4-year-old has better cosplay than like anyone else.
But for the folks out there that are thinking about doing lots of types of costuming, this is like one of the projects you and I talked about. Like, there's Animatronic Tails. We actually have a tail this week in the learning system. But like wings that flap, because it's a perfect start to so many other things, dragons and birds.
You can get almost any animal that you want has some sort of wings or tail or ears or appendage. So hopefully we'll do some more projects. I actually got some micro servos in that will be in the store next week, specifically for doing these small projects, small lightweight projects. John Sanford came by and showed off an old school trick that he learned from a Heath kit, where you take a corrugated cardboard and you layer them together with glue, and then you can stick your resistors in them. And so it's like a resistor storage system without having to like bend the leads out, because the legs stick into the corrugated board. So it's actually good for chips too, and it's like anti-static. So it's kind of nice. Very good trick. And C. Scott came by with another CrowBX demo. It's his OBX clone. Uses Arduino MIDI, and he has like these long decay sounds, and it's just like super ethereal. He also play us out. And then Zach, not Zach Superella, but the other one. There's 2. I don't know how they can handle having a company with 2 Zachs in it. That must be so confusing.
Yeah.
Usually they kill each other.
I believe Spark.io has multiple Zachs.
More than 2?
Maybe it's like Moto. After one of the Zachs get at a certain age, like they just kind of get rid of one of the Zachs, and then they get a younger, more attractive Zach. I don't know.
I don't know whether this is the new Zach or the old Zach, but Zach came by. And
no, this is a CTO Zach, not CEO Zach.
Right, there's a CEO and the CTO Zach. Actually, it'd be cool if they all just like change their names to Zach.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
Okay. Like
one of the requirements is you have to be Zach. You have to be Zach to work there. That's cool. All right. I'll send them an email about that.
And they showed, good idea, good thinking. You're a forward thinker. They showed off this part that we talked about. That they announced today, the Spark Photon, which is an update to the Spark core. This is amazing. They got the Broadcom Wicked chipset plus an STM32 in this like cute little blobby chip can. And it's like an all-in-one Wi-Fi system. And like even I was like, as I was thinking, like everyone's using the Wicked platform. So I'm like thinking I gotta like look into this chipset, because it sounds amazing.
$19 and
$19. Sign up now on their site, and we launched with them a Neopixel ring.
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
Which we'll demo later.
Yeah, world premiere.
So we did a partnership where we went hard and did products together. So they announced their product, and we announced ours, and ours works with the Photon, but it's also backward compatible with the core. It's pretty amazing. Go check out spark.io for more info about that. We'll also be talking about it more, and so that's why the code is Spark.
Yeah,
and that was your show and tell.
That was show and tell, and Spark.io, a open source hardware and software company. Just a reminder.
Most of it, yes.
Yeah, it says
I don't think all of it.
It says on the side.
I think the hardware is, but I don't think the web services.
No, I have to check.
I don't know.
I think it says on
the
side.
I mean, I could be wrong. I don't. I don't like check everybody's open sourceness.
Yeah, I know. No, there's varying degrees too.
I'm over it. I can't.
Yeah,
But they do have at least some of it. They do at least like schematics and at least some hardware.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
What's
Open source hardware and software.
Okay.
Spark's developer tools are open source, hackable, and extendable.
Okay. All right. Maybe I'm wrong.
All
I'm
right.
wrong.
Check.
I'm wrong.
Check the website. I don't know. Check the website.
It's cool. Check the website.
Okay. So, how do people get on the show and tell Lady Ada?
If you would like to get on the show and tell and show off your projects next week or the week after that or the week after that on to infinity, because we'll be here forever, go to our Google Plus page at plus.google.com/+Adafruit. Look for the thread where we say, comment here to get added to the show and tell circle. And if you comment there, you'll get added to the show and tell circle. And then every week you can join the other 500 very talented and attractive people who show up and show off their projects, from animatronic fairy wings for 4-year-olds to resistor storage tips from 70s Heath kits. We got it all. A range.
All participants on the show and tell get as seen on the show and tell sticker. If you were on the show and tell, make sure to email support@adafruit.com and we will send you in the mail an as seen on the show and tell sticker. Okay, next up, Pack the Mailbag. These are letters and emails we get from people around the world. We read these to the entire company every single week, and so a while ago we decided we should read these on the air too, because all of these people out there are just like the people that are here. We're all
family.
We're all family. We're all in this to hopefully make the world a better place through science, technology, engineering, art, mathematics, and other things of that nature.
Neopixels. I think it should be STEAM N. To be science, technology, engineering, art, math, Neopixels.
Okay. I'll send an email to someone about that.
You'll email the authorities.
Yeah. Okay. So this is from Chris, and I've got to move this around because this is a longer one. Okay. This is a blog post suggested as much as just a fan letter. I've been following Adafruit for several years since I stumbled into the maker community. I tend to order from SparkFun more often because they're close enough for me to make local pickups, but there have been many occasions where there was just simply no substitute for Adafruit. I still swear by your Arduino Motor Shield and Proto Shields. I mentor for a high school engineering club. Maybe I can get them thinking about projects with your skill badges. Thank you, Chris. All right. Thanks, Chris. Next up, Jobs Board, Adafruit Jobs Board. The Adafruit Jobs Board is the best free place online if you're a maker and you want to post your skills, or if you're a company and you're looking for someone amazing to work for your company. We've played Matchmaker many, many times. Lady and I approve all of them, so there's no weirdo recruiters or scammy things.
I hate it when it's like contact them and it's like C++ person, and then it's like they
I got a great candidate who's just coming off an excellent stint with Nextel or something like that. Like,
I can say this because I worked for my first job was with a headhunter, and I'm still paying off this debt.
Do you need a full stack engineer though? So, anyways, this is the job that was posted just a few moments ago. So I took a screenshot. This is someone who's looking for embedded Raspberry Pi development help. We are prototyping a device leveraging Raspberry Pi, seeking experts in embedded device Raspberry Pi who can help us on a part-time basis now, and this could be a long-term opportunity down the road. If you have an Adafruit account, you can apply for this. That's all you have to do. Free.
Get a job.
Okay. Next up, Adafruit Learning System. This week, a lot of cool things. How many tutorials are there in the Adafruit Learning System, Lady Ada, do you think?
At least 630.
At least 630?
How many are there?
Yeah, I think that's about right.
It's like 635 maybe, I don't know.
Okay. All right, first up, this is an LED light box.
Oh yeah, this is a cute project. It's basically a clone of a really old. I actually remember seeing these like in the 80s. There were these light boxes that would twinkle with lights, and they were like people would put them in their windows for the holidays. And so this person, and they always had this like that weird plastic with like the cutouts. Like it's got little like cuts so that it has it make diamond shapes. I don't know, whatever. It was just a thing. Make your own with an Arduino and some diffused RGB LEDs in a strand. Super easy, and it looks good and fun, and even showed off a couple of designs. So this is a project by Sam.
Okay, next up, I really like this one.
This is an animatronic tail.
This is an animatronic tail.
This is actually a really intense animatronic tail.
Yeah.
This one, it's like it uses like a bead and multiple strands to pull the tail in multiple directions. So it actually has like tendons and like a spine.
And here's a fantastic video.
Yeah, this is pretty hardcore. And it uses a servo to move it around in space. So I'm not sure. Yeah, it's like a long tail too. So I mean, this is if you have a big costume or something, you could use this.
Yeah, this is one of the coolest projects. This is from Rick.
One of the things that this does that you can't do with like a simpler system is you see the motion happens near the end, which is where like the motion naturally happens. Like if you have like a cat or dog, they move the ends of their tails, they twitch them around. So this is more natural than like if you just moved the tail near like the base. Like it's hard to actually move your tail back and forth, I think, if you're an animal.
Yeah.
But you can move the ends really easily.
All right, next up. This is Octoprint. This is a tutorial that's pretty neat. So you know about this. This is this
Open source Raspberry Pi software.
Yeah.
For 3D printers.
Yeah. So you can use a Raspberry Pi to do like a job queue for 3D printers.
Mm-hmm. And it takes photos and stuff too.
Yeah, and you can even set it up to do time lapse.
Yeah, and and I know it works for the Taz and for the printer bots. It does not control a MakerBot. MakerBot, I believe, has like fully
I'm not certain.
fully enclosed software, but all the open hardware, open software printers it works with are almost all compatible, I believe. And so it's like if you want to not have a computer tethered, like you want to leave it alone and not have to worry about like your laptop going to sleep or whatever.
Yeah.
You can have it all in one, and then you can like connect to it remotely too, which is fun.
So this is a learning guide also in the most recent volume of Make the 3D Printing Guide. There's an overview of this, same author, Matt McGriffin. So check that out. Next up.
It's chaotic. This is a tutorial that Tony wrote for the FT232H.
This was just on the show and tell.
Yeah, they just demoed on the show and tell. Again, this is the FTDI chip that kind of has all these GPIO pins, I2C SPI. You can do all these like funky protocols over USB. You can control it through Python. It's like a little glue processor. I kind of like it. I think it'll be handy when you're like, I don't want to grab an Arduino or even a trinket. You just want to have a quick USB communication link without having to think about the firmware.
All right. And the State of Free Learning System for the week.
All right.
Okay, moving right along. We got a lot of stuff going on.
5 out tours.
Wearables this week. We have a giant teardown.
Okay.
So this is a big one.
Yeah, I had to delay it a week because actually it was like I ran out of time.
Yeah, this is a big one. So there is a whole new class of devices that are coming out. These smartwatches that do absolutely everything. And you and Becky took one apart and you explained all the things it does. Here is a video. Get comfy. It's long, but it's worth it.
Welcome to another wearables teardown here at Adafruit. Today we're taking apart the Moto 360 smartwatch. This Android Wear device has a round screen for all of its notifications, controller functions, and other apps. It charges inductively using the included cradle. There's a lot of complex design and engineering in this thing, and we wanted to get a look at it firsthand.
The band comes out easily enough, but the main electronics are glued together tightly. We'll use heat to soften the adhesives by making a DIY hot pack from some scrap fabric and rice. Pop it in the microwave for a minute and leave it on the watch for another 2 or 3. Under the back sticker is the heart rate sensor, and a little prying gets us access to the inner puck of electronics containing the main PCB, battery, and induction charging coil. Oops. We found a shield over the main PCB and used a hot air rework station to get it out of the way.
Yay! Thanks. Now that we have access to all the ICs, let's see what Lady Ada has to say about the design of the board.
All right, thanks, Becky. Yeah, I'm going to be here talking about what's going on inside the Moto 360. This is like a jam-packed watch. This is like kind of intense. They basically like crammed a phone into a watch, which is pretty amazing, the technology they did. But I'm actually going to start by looking at the charger, just because it's a little bit simpler. And there's this charger that, you put the Moto 360 on, and it's like all elegant and stuff. And it comes like this. You take it out, and then there's this coil here with a driver board. And actually, this looks a lot like the key charger board that we have. You can see the coil is very similar. It has a little bit more smarts to it than most inductive charging. Like it'll know that you're charging, it'll know how much current it's drawing and stuff. So on the other side, you need the receiving coil, and that's a lot like this guy over here. Let me pull this off so you can see. It's a very thin coil, so it's a little bit similar like that, but they custom wound it. There's this little flex PCB as well that they made custom, and this is kind of neat because it's actually has a sensor system on the back. I'm looking on the overhead right now because it's very small. There was like this sticker, like plastic overlay thing that went over it, but for the most part, it's pretty much just like out there and exposed. And there's a rubber gasket just to protect against moisture. So here we can see there's a bunch of sensors. This is like a photodiode of some sort. So kind of a big photodiode, and then there's a couple of red LEDs, it looks like. So these are, you know, red, green, blue LEDs maybe, and then a photodiode. And this is for the pulse oximetry capabilities of the Moto 360, which can do heart rate detection. It does that by shining light onto your skin, and then your skin absorbs or reflects the green or red or whatever color light wave, like the single wave, and it bounces back different amounts depending on how oxygenated your skin is. So it's kind of smart because they have this coil around that does the key charging, but then they have this gap in the center, so they stick the sensors in there. So that's the bottom of the watch, and then there's a little flex connector that connects to the main body. All right, so now we're finally on to Big Bertha, the main board. This is a massive board. It is like, there's like 25 chips on here. A lot of TI chips, I noticed. So they probably got a deal with TI where they said like, hey, you know, we'll buy most of our stuff through you if you give us a deal, or you customize the chips in some way. This is the back. And there's a little motor here. You can see there's a motor with these little D-shaped things. There's a buzzer motor. This is the vibration motor on the back. There's a little chip here. Might be this is a driver chip or something. And then over here, this is the M651. I actually looked this up, and I couldn't find the exact part number, but you know, according to iFixit, this is the InvenSense 6051 6-axis accelerometer gyro. There's no magnetometer, which is good because having a magnetometer next to a spinning motor is kind of like messed up. Which is why at first I was like, usually people put a 9-axis DOF in there, but in this case they didn't. All right, let's flip over. And look at this big board. This board has so much stuff going on here. It's a little intense. Let's start with just the top, biggest chip here. So you can see here there's a chip, and then you can see there's a line underneath. So it's a package on package. So this is pretty common. This uses there's a TI processor inside. You've got the RAM on top, and it sticks right onto the processor. It saves space. The chip is designed for it. Super fancy. And then right next to it is this other big chip, and this is a flash chip. Whenever you have like a really big BGA chip with a lot of these like caps all around it right next to the main processor, that's the flash. And we looked up, and it has, I think, like 512 megabytes of RAM and 4 gigabytes of MMC flash. So yeah, this is like a computer. And then it's surrounded by a ton of chips all the way around. Let's start over here at the very north end. These are actually two Wolfson microphones. There's two microphones. I'm not exactly sure why, but there's one microphone that's top port. You can see the port up here. And then there's the other one that's a bottom port. And then if you look on the other side, that's where the gasket is for. So there's one microphone for, like, I guess if you're speaking at it, and one if you're speaking towards it. I'm not 100% sure why they went with two microphones, but they did. And then over here, this is a really tough to see flip chip, but this is Mysterious Logic CS53L30 quad channel microphone ADC. So this chip, this processor doesn't have an ADC, or maybe just it offloads the microphone processing. So this is the processor. So there's a lot of analog stuff here for the microphones. It goes into this processor here. And then this chip right here is a TI-1211. That's a USB PHY. So this processor also doesn't do USB on its own. So it has a chip that does it. And then here, this is kind of a fun chip. This flip chip over here, it says WL18. This is a Y-Link chip. And so I looked this up, and this is another chip from TI. So you're starting to see there's a lot of TI chips. And this chip is a kind of an all-in-one radio that does Bluetooth Low Energy, and Wi-Fi. So it's like basically 2.4 gigahertz, does it all. So they don't advertise that this does Wi-Fi, but it has the chipset to do Wi-Fi on it. And then over here, we've got the TMS320. This is a DSP. So this is a digital signal processor. It's kind of interesting because they have the ability to do digital signal processing, you'd think, on the TI processor, but they offloaded it. Could be maybe the main processor, they want to use it for user interface and like high level stuff, and they wanted to, if they have to do some sort of processing with these microphones to take the signal and like subtract them or multiply them, or like figure out where the sound's coming from, that sort of stuff. Yeah, offloading it to a DSP, especially if they got a package deal. It does take up a lot of space, so I'm sure that if they put it on there, they probably really needed it. So here is where the pulse oximetry sensing stuff comes in, the LEDs and such. And this goes into this chip, which is actually kind of hard to read. But it's AFE 4490. This is another TI chip. It's a digital signal processor specifically for pulse oximetry. So this is like a very specialized chip. And then interesting, they basically went to this chip and they plunked a chip down there to do all the pulse oximetry stuff and basically just feed the signal directly to the processor. Over here is the MXT112S. It's not a TI chip. This chip is from Atmel. And the reason they didn't go with a TI chip is TI doesn't have a chip that does this. It's a cap touch controller. So on the display, bonded to the top of the display is this glass patterned ITO, which you can basically use to do capacitive touch sensing. And the final chip that I can identify after like much Googling is this is the BQ5105, and this is the LiPoly charger. So this actually does the LiPoly charging from the key. It's especially designed for key coil to LiPoly charger. This is an all-in-one. This is like a really good choice. So this is the one TI chip that I'm like, yeah, this is exactly the right chip to use for what you're doing. So that's a lot of chips, and I hope you enjoyed that chip party, because there's like 30 chips on here, and I have a list of all of the data sheets I could find. The one that was actually kind of a little bit of a mystery was, why did they have a USB PHY? There's no USB connector on here. So it's pretty amazing that they managed to get like good yields with this much stuff, but it's Motorola, like they know how to do this. So if you're wondering what it takes to make a watch that can do everything, this is it.
For this and many other teardowns, we use the Adafruit USB microscope with its articulated stand. What wearable tech do you want us to see take apart next? Post your suggestions in the comments and subscribe to catch the next one. Thanks for watching.
Okie dokie.
We're
All
back.
right, we're back.
I hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Because that was like really hard to do.
Yeah. So
there was like hundreds of little chips in there, and I had to like look up all these little like date codes or part numbers or whatever.
So it's 3D Day, and Lulzbot. This is one of our favorite 3D printer companies.
You sell their printers?
Sent us this in the mail, and it says, we're excited to announce the launch of the all-new Lulzbot Mini. To learn more, please sign up for the latest updates leading up to the launch. lulzbot.com/mini. Don't forget to share your pound rocktopus on social media and tag us. So it came in a little box, and it looks like a little skid, super cute. And then it has this little booklet, so they're working on another printer. And from what I understand, and this is a big deal, so this is the Make 3D printing issue.
Yes.
And there's
yeah,
a
we should
couple.
pick that up at the.
We went to Engadget Expand, and there's a couple cool things in this issue. The first cool thing is.
Don't drop your octopus.
Is if you want to see our Cyberpunk Spikes
Check
article.
It out.
And this is
It's
Becky
T.
and Phil B. and T, who's in our fabrication department. So if you want to see a really cool Gemma project, that's in there.
And it's a 3D printed flexible filament. It's one of our first flexible filament projects.
And one of the neat things in here,
There's the Arduino 3D printer.
Yeah, they had everything. But the cool thing that happened for Lulzbot was they got a very special award.
Okay.
And the special award was,
okay.
it's the most maker machine. So if you're really into open source software, open source hardware, the TASBot is pretty much, the Lulzbot TAS4, which we stock, is pretty much the only one out there that is fully open and fully hackable, and it's even FSS certified.
This is cool that there's the PrinterBot Simple Metal and the TAS4. They're both winners.
Yeah. So we try to carry the best, and a long time ago, I think we made a deal with everyone. We said, hey, if there's a open source software, hardware printer out there, a 3D printer, we will stock it. And as long as you guys buy it, we'll keep doing it, because there's not a lot of margins. There's a lot of issues selling 3D printers. It's one of the harder things as vendors to stock and to sell.
Oh yeah, this is hard.
And so
they're hard to ship, they're hard to fix, they're hard to repair.
Yeah, so thank you guys out there who've purchased these, and I know you really like them because we see all the products all the time.
And pick up this guide.
If you want to use the code SPARK to get one of them, 10% off, and you get free UPS ground. So
what a bargain.
That's a deal. This week we have our video from the previous 3D Thursday. Take it away, Noah and Pedro.
Pew pew.
In this project, we're making a 3D printed sci-fi inspired ray gun with LEDs, fully functioning trigger, and sound effects. You can get the parts to build this project on the shop at Adafruit.com. The audio effects soundboard is an easy to use audio effects trigger that doesn't require any programming. This allows you to simply play a sound with the press of a button. The soundboard features 5 different trigger modes, and you can drag and drop files right on as if it were a USB key. In this build, the audio effects board fires a sound, and the Pro Trinket lights up a Neopixel ring when the trigger is pulled. Download and 3D print the parts for this ray gun to build your own. Support materials required here, so you'll need to do some cleanup and some finishing. Use flat pliers to carefully remove support structures. Grab, twist, and tug until each part is clean. You can optionally spray paint and sand the parts to give it a finished look. Solder the components together using 30 gauge silicone coated stranded wire. The Live Poly backpack adds a rechargeable power circuit, which is especially convenient for small and enclosed projects. Proceed by wiring a 12 Neopixel ring LED to the Pro Trinket. Get the circuit diagram and follow along with the guide on the Adafruit Learning System. The link is in the description. Route the wires through the openings while holding the parts together. A slide switch easily powers it on and off, while a push button is mounted behind the trigger. All of the electronics are secured inside, and the 3D printed parts are attached with screws and adhesives. Power these electronics with a 500 mAh lithium polymer battery. A mini metal speaker is mounted inside the body of the ray gun. Program the Pro Trinket with the Arduino IDE and install the Adafruit libraries. Now we have a fully functioning prop replica ray gun. So what projects would you add sound to? Let us know in the comments and on our weekly show and tell hangout on Google+. Thanks so much.
Okie dokie. All right, and then we're back. Yeah. So these are 3D printed replica ray guns, and they use our soundboard that we're seeing tons and tons of people use in costuming and prop making. We think this is going to be a hit. It's selling out right away each time.
Pew!
You really enjoy this. Okay.
Now, you know it's hard to make rounded hollow things on a 3D printer. Remember, there's one thing that 3D printers are not great at. It's hollow round things. But they did a very good job with this design, and like it's multi-piece.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is like amazing. This looks like it, you know, it's like it looks like a finished good.
Yeah, I'll go to the overhead real quick with this, but just to give you an idea of the quality that this is made by something.
I turned it off.
Yeah, this is made by something that you can make yourself here. And it's great. You can see the laser beam. Yeah, it's so cool.
No, I always wait for the.
Okay, so that was 3D. Okay, don't forget, tomorrow, 3 p.m., every Thursday, 3D Thursday Hangout with Matt, Noah, and Pedro. If you like 3D printing, it's the best and longest running 3D printing show. Next up, Pi. Big announcement this week in the world of Pi. There was lots of speculation. Lots of people knew about it. We woke up. We saw it online. We saw it. The A+ is here.
Yeah.
Lady Ada, what is the Raspberry Pi A+? What is it?
I'm glad you asked. Wow, look at this like nice graphic. I'm like, hello, I'm in the center. Like, I think I'm in like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Remember they have a little TV and you're in the TV?
Yes.
Okay, that's how I feel right now. The Raspberry Pi A+ is the latest Raspberry Pi. It's probably the last board they're going to make for a while. It's the last design that they're going to do for a bit. And it's basically the B+, and they chopped off like an inch and removed the Ethernet and USB jacks. And instead of having a hub chip, they just bring out the single USB port to make it. Basically, it's just one USB port, but it's got the same processor as the Raspberry Pi. It still has HDMI, composite audio, camera connector, 40-pin GPIO connector, display connector, micro USB power, all in the same locations. The only thing that moved locations is the USB port. There's only, again, like one USB port now instead of 4, and there's no Ethernet jack. But that means it uses a lot less power. It's like 150 milliamps or 100 milliamps instead of 200 milliamps, so it's like half the power of like the Model B. And it has half as much RAM. It has 256 megabytes instead of 512. But it's still like hat compatible, and it still has the same mounting hole pattern. So it's like if you want to have a small Raspberry Pi, you don't mind having half the RAM, then like this is definitely the way to go. This is definitely like it's kind of between the B+ and the compute module, and because they don't have all these extra connectors and the USB hub, and it's also smaller, the price is really low too. You can get it from $20.
Yeah, $20 in some places. We'll have it for $24.95, and it's also hat-sized.
That's right. So we're going to be coming out with hats soon. I got to finish off these hats. I'm having too much fun with my laser guns. But when I'm done lasering and annoying Phil, I'm going to get on those hats. And so as you see a lot of Pi hats come out, they're all going to be backwards compatible with the A plus and the B plus. So this is definitely like, you want a $20 computer, you got it.
What would what type of project would you use this in?
Well, if I had to like go back and relive my life, like the mini portable camera that we made.
Oh yeah.
It was really chunky. It was hard to fit everything in, and the A plus would be less power. And we didn't use any USB port. We used only the Wi-Fi, so we don't need the USB ports. And also, the Game Girl doesn't use any USB ports either. Okay. So it would like not, and you don't use Ethernet, so it would have benefited a lot from much lower power consumption.
I think you're right. I think for the folks that they're not ready for what the Pi compute module is, because you need like a bigger board and you need a custom board. This is like that stepping stone. Like lots of Kickstarters use Raspberry Pis for stuff. This might be a lower cost way for them to get a fully embedded Linux computer inside of this other device. This is
just a good form factor. It's it's not quite square, but it's very close to square. It's got 4 mounting holes. It's got the GPIO connector. It's got all this stuff coming out, but it's not too many connectors. It's like 256 megabytes of RAM is still enough to do like the vast majority of stuff people want to do, and it's small enough that you can start embedding it in projects. So I think it's definitely a win.
Okay, so before we get on to new products, the code is Spark. That's 10% off everything in the Adafruit store, except for software and gift certificates. One reminder: if you're in the USA, continental USA, you get free UPS ground, $200 or more. We have the Perma Proto thing going on,
right?
$99.
Oh yeah, usually we shut off.
Yeah, because I had to switch to graphics this week.
Oh yeah.
So we'll be having more freebies and stuff soon, but that's what's going on right now. And without any further ado, here is new product time, lady.
Oh wow.
All right,
here,
first
take
up.
My guns.
Yeah, well, I'm going to start off first. We're adding more and more SKUs of EagleCAD. So if you are at a school and you have a .edu address, this is a requirement from EagleCAD, you can get the educational version. It comes with the auto router, the layout, and the schematic editor, and I think it's like
standard. It's like the
standard.
I can't keep track of all the.
So people have asked. Yeah, people are at schools or they teach, and they have a .edu address and an account. Get on it.
It's like half price something, but you do have to log in. Your account has to be a .edu address.
Yeah, that's the requirement.
Email. That's how we know. So even if you have another account, you have to change it to a
you can
.edu.
You can just buy it. Use a guest account on the way out. That's the way.
But you have to use an edu email.
Yeah.
That's how we. That's the rules.
Okay. Next
There's
up,
rules.
we talked about this real quick, but we have the coming soon pages. They'll be here soon.
Sign up.
Yeah, so sign up. Next up, big announcement today. We have a bundle pack in the App Store with Apple. So you get Circuit Playground and Mohs Resistance. Basically,
that one.
It's basically like 2 for 1.
2 for 1?
Yeah, so really big deal. For those of you who don't know what these apps are, Circuit Playground is the best engineering calculator suite in the world.
That's right. Colin Cunningham wrote this. It's amazing. It's a lovely app. It's got it's got those quad op amp pinouts you can never remember, which is the inverting and uninverting. It's got like AVR pinouts. It's got calculators. It's got resistors. It's got capacitor codes. It's got everything.
And then
really,
and then Mohs Resistance is a game that you can play. It's for young people, but adults play it quite a bit, and it's to learn resistor values. And since we haven't played this video in a really long time, here is what Mohs Resistance is all about.
Oh yeah, it's really.
This is Mo. Mo. There he is. Mo is a resistor who needs your help to complete circuits.
No, I don't.
Actually, yes. Yes, you do.
I do?
You can't change your resistance on your own, can you?
I guess I could use a little help.
Right then. Cue the iPad. Set Mohs resistance to the correct values to complete each circuit. But be careful. An incorrect value will unleash the dreaded blue smoke monster. Trust me, you don't want to do that. Or play with a friend as you race against time in versus mode.
Excellent.
Nice work, Adabot. Now, it's your turn to set Mo's resistance.
Right on.
All right. So
Okay.
don't forget too. There's a coupon code inside of Circuit Playground. So you even kind of get everything for free if you get the app bundle.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. So next up, what are these, Lady Ada?
These are weird, that these are what I call IDC breadboard friends because they have no formal title. And this is basically the thing that you're like, wow, that's so handy because I have these IDC cables because like it's such a common cabling system used in electronics. And you want a breadboard with it, and there's no way to do that because the IDC cable does not, there's a gap in the middle of the breadboard. So this is two parts. There's on the right, you see there's like a sockety part with the legs that come out like a little like centipede. And then there's a male header that plugs into it. It's actually two pieces that I'm kind of abusing. And then what you can do is then plug into a breadboard and you just plug in the IDC cable on top and you basically have a breadboard friendly IDC connector and you don't have to like solder anything. Also works great with, of course, Perma-Proto or like any other breadboard system that expects 0.3 inch split chips, which is like the most common size chip. So like pretty much any kind of breadboard. We have the multiple sizes, and this is 2x13 or 2x16, which I thought was pretty handy, which is like nice and big. Oh, that's right. The 2x16 was the one. This is 2x13, I think. I don't even know. Basically, we have all these sizes. We have one that's like basically a Raspberry Pi Model B, and then we have like a 16-pin one, which is really good for our LED matrices. And you can cut them down with diagonal cutters, but they're not like break apart, so that's why we have multiple sizes. This is a 10-pin one, good for like some JTAG connectors and such. And then we have a 2x3 pin, which is really good for like AVR programming. And I can show it on the overhead.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of it's a weird thing.
I get what it is now. I understand. Because it's a pain in the ass to like have to take your cables and then like stick pins out of them to get them onto the breadboard to do stuff. So now
Right.
you can just make like a socketable breadboard.
Yeah, it's definitely. Well, hold on, let me see if I can. Does this tilt back?
What are you trying to do?
Okay, never mind. I thought that tilted back, but it does not.
Do you-
So yeah, you have the two pieces that plug in together. I just want to make it brighter, but I don't know if I can. I don't think I can. You've got these two pieces.
yeah, that's pretty weird.
Yeah, that's bright as good. You've got this like sockety part, and then you've got this header part. You just plug them in together, so like that. And then basically you've made, a 0.1 inch connector, a dual connector into a 0.3 inch, and then you can plug it into a breadboard. It doesn't have super long pins, but like as long as you're not like yanking on it, it should be fine. And then you can just plug it in like that. So like it's really handy, and whoa. And it's also like really easy to use. Just have to like plug it in properly and not like move it around. And then of course it also works with Perma-Proto. I just want to show like, you solder on the other side. And like, it's not like the best solution. The best solution is to use like a soldered adapter of some sort. But if you don't have one, it works really good. Like this is one that's basically like the poor woman's Raspberry Pi connector. So you can use the Raspberry Pi header to
that's
plug it in.
cool.
You don't need a cobbler, especially if you're plugging this into a breadboard and then you're moving it onto a Perma-Proto. So you're like, I don't want to like get a cobbler and then it's like big and chunky. This is just like super simple and low cost.
Yeah.
So just plug it in
Okay.
and snap it into place, and it'll just snap in. And there you go. So it's kind of an interesting hack. And people were asking us about these connectors, and I was like, okay, this is a good idea, but I want to use it in a different way. And then you can also just use the female part, the socket part, as like a pass-through header as well. If you want a pass-through connection for dual IDC connectors, which is where I think they're better used in this style.
Next up, we got to turn up the heat here. What are these?
These are fancy style LED.
Oh, fancy LEDs. We're like a fancy LED company now?
This is fancy.
I didn't get
These
that memo.
We had plastic ones, I think, last week. These are great metal ones. This is 8mm, which I'm showing with a through-hole like Neopixel compatible. Oh no, can we just go through?
Oh, you just want to look at that? Okay.
Can you go back to the first image? Yeah, so it's the 8mm, and then you can see it's metal, and it's like a multi-piece attachment, so it's more expensive.
Okay.
But it's like this is just beautiful looking,
Oh.
and you can attach it to like up to like 1/4 inch thick, I think, material. You get in a pack of 5, and it comes as like this metal screw part, the metal nut, and then the mounting part, and then a plug that goes in the back.
Okay.
And then we also have 5mm, and we have these in a couple different sizes. This is like a conical style, which is less expensive.
Yeah.
And then we have like this, it's kind of a basic, and then we have this really nice convex style. Because I had like all these different samples. I'm like, oh, these are all good. I couldn't decide which one. And then we have like this kind of wide concave style. So different styles for different looks.
Yeah, this is super cool.
Yeah, I'll show them off on the overhead now because I want
Okay.
to. It's hard to show them off like really well, but I'll just like have like a. You can see like it's mounted, and then this plug, kind of like is what keeps the LED in place. And then you can also use like super glue, and then you can see it's kind of a nice reflection, and it keeps the light very directional. That's kind of what the metal ones are good for because they're reflective. Let's get this one in. So yeah, this one is kind of like the basic one. And these are basically a solution for like, you have LEDs and you want to attach them to something, and like LEDs are really hard to glue without a nice mounting system.
This is like the most luxury LED throwaway you could ever
Yeah,
create.
so we have them in plastic, and then I can't really demo the Neopixel because I don't have a Neopixel setup, but yeah, it's like basically very similar to the red one. But of course, it's a Neopixel, so you can do multiple colors. And you don't get the LEDs, but it works with like any LED of that size will work.
Okay.
And then if you need to, you might have to use a little bit of glue, like super glue, just to keep the LED like super tight in, because depending on the flange and the LED, you might have to push it in a little bit harder, or it might be a little loose. But like a teeny bit of glue, even like Elmer's glue, will keep them in place. But these are very nice, and they're not fake metal plastic. They're actually copper bronze chromed, brass chromed. They're like a copper alloy, so they're not stainless steel, but they are fully metal, and they look very nice.
Okay, next up, one of our most popular projects, using the trinket and what's in the trinket book. Where'd the trinket book go? Didn't you have it a second?
I don't know if we have the trinket book.
No, I put it over here.
Really?
I think it fell down.
Uh-oh.
Anyways,
Imagine the trinket book.
one of our most popular projects is now a kit. LED goggles. So if you wanted to make these, we saw these at Comic-Cons, we see these at Maker Fairs, we see these on Show and Tell. We now have a pack, so you too can make your own.
And it's a deal. It's like $10 off if you buy the pack.
So if you were to buy all the parts, it would be more expensive than if you get the pack. Here they are
Vance,
in
who's
action.
kidding, showing them off.
Yep.
I like how he's like holding that smile like perfectly, so you can't tell that he's actually moving, but he's like so still.
Yeah, we have this software that what it does is if you can do a video and stay still, you can scrub out where only the motion is, and then you can do those cool animated graphics that we have on our homepage now. So I'll let you demonstrate those now.
I'm showing off his goggles. So I'm like, man. So this is just the basic demo,
Yeah,
and
cool.
we have also a demo that has like these little eye-looking things in a rainbow demo. So there's a couple of different examples, and of course you can program your own. And the kit comes with these costume goggles, 2 Neopixel rings, a trinket, battery, and a battery charger. So you get like everything you need to rock out and make this project. You need a little bit of soldering skills, but luckily you do not have to be good at soldering. It's like pretty basic.
Yep.
And since we revised the Neopixel rings to have more connections, it's a lot easier to make this kit. So you don't have to splice any wires.
And this is
there's a book.
book. Mike Barella, who is here on Ask an Engineer and Show and Tell, he wrote Getting Started with Adafruit Trinket, and this is one of the many things that you can do with the trinket.
And yeah, we don't suggest these for looking through because like the electronics are in the eye cups. I mean, you could make them in a way that you can kind of look through them, but it's not suggested because
Lots of people do.
Your vision's not so good, so just be aware of that. We designed these to put on a hat or on your forehead as part of a costume, like kind of a steampunk costume with LEDs. And it's a really great trinket introduction. So check it out, especially if I've seen a lot of people build these now. We have a great pack, has everything you need with a rechargeable battery, and Phil B updated the instructions, and it's a great learning project. Yeah. And you can wear these all the time. This is like heirloom electronics.
Okay, Lady Ada, we gotta move.
Wear these for life.
Gotta keep moving.
Yeah,
we got this screen.
It's a big monitor.
It's a really big monitor and super sharp.
It's really, really high res.
Yeah.
Monitor. I'll just hold it up because I can't really show it on the overhead. But I have it hooked up to the Raspberry Pi. It's out of focus because it's not at the focal point. Oh wow, so the reflections of reflections. It's a really beautiful IPS monitor, so you can see it from like any angle. Ooh, like wide angle display. It's basically like a laptop, a really high quality laptop monitor, but laptop display made into a monitor. It's got speakers built into it. It works with like pretty much everything. Like I'm using it with a Raspberry Pi, but it works with BeagleBone. It works with my Xbox. It works with anything that wants TV out, and it's pretty high res. It's like 1366 by 768, so it's 1080p. It's a 10-inch. Sorry, it's 720p. It's a 10-inch screen. It doesn't have a touch screen, but it does have speakers built in. So if you have something that has HDMI audio, you can plug it in and it will like have audio come up. And it's a good time. It's a nice big monitor. We have smaller ones, but this one is like really fancy. But it's not as big as like a huge desktop monitor. So this is good for when you're doing a small installation. You want to like tuck a monitor into somewhere, or you want to have this like, in a car computer or something where it's not going to be 17 inches or like 20 inches.
Yeah.
It's like 10.
Okay. Next up, we're almost there. Just a couple more products later. What is this?
This and the next one are little GPIO breakout shower offers. They show which pin is what on the Raspberry Pi. So that one's the Model B, and this is the B+, which has more pins. And they slip on to the GPIO header, but it's very thin, so you can still plug in female socket headers. And we actually, this is totally, like, I stole this idea from Low Voltage Labs. They did such a good job with the B version, and I contacted them and I said, these are really, really great. We want to put these in our kits. Can we like work out a royalty with you? And they said yes, and we're like, yay! So these are, the design is pretty much from Low Voltage Labs. Check them out. They did an excellent job. We're just manufacturing them to basically the same specifications. And they're going to be going in a bunch of low-cost Raspberry Pi kits where a cobbler might be too big.
They made these. They're open source, and they said anyone can run the files or do whatever. But we wanted to reward them, so what we do is we give them a royalty based on the sales of these.
Yeah, and he's like, I don't want to make these all day either. So if you guys want to, like, better for you. So I can show it on the overhead really fast, just how it works. So you have, this is just a Model B, but the B Plus is basically the same idea. And it won't fit backwards, like this connector's in the way. No, it won't fit. So you don't have to worry about putting it upside down. And it only really fits in one way. And then it still has plenty of space for plugging in wires. So you can plug in these wires on top. And it's easy to tell which wire you're trying to plug into, because especially once you get to the B+, like there's 40 pins. It's hard to remember like which one is which. I don't even remember them. So this is it's basically a handy way to use these plug-in premium cables.
Okay.
Much easier than a cobbler, but you don't use a GPIO cable, instead you plug in directly. So we have them B and B+.
Okay, next up, second to the last product. Ready?
Okay.
Here we go. This is the multi-protocol USB GPIO chip.
I know. There's like no fancy name for this. This is the FT232H breakout. This is a collab between me and Tony DeCola. Tony DeCola loves this chip, and I was like, that's a good idea. It's a chip from FTDI, and it sounds like the FT232RL or B, which you may be familiar with, the USB to UART chip. This is kind of similar, but it's even more so. Instead of just doing USB to UART, it does USB to UART, but it can also do SPI, I2C, and just basic GPIO. It's 3 and 5 volt compatible, so it's like you can use it with just about anything. And it's kind of what we think of as a really good glue logic chip, because you can use Python. There's Python libraries for it, and there's also C and C++ libraries. We like to use Python. And you can use Mac, Windows, or Linux to communicate with this chip and then quickly interact with I2C or SPI devices without having to like set up an Arduino and open up the Arduino IDE. If you want to just write the code raw in Python, like turning on LEDs or connecting to Neopixels or displaying something or reading an I2C sensor, this is kind of a fun chip. I know it's a really vague description. It's like, what is it? It's not a microcontroller. It's this kind of bridge between USB to other stuff. But it's nice because there's just drivers for all these operating systems, and it's just like, it's so general purpose. I figured like people will come up with their own uses.
I think it's neat that you can use a full-blown computer with Python to do the same stuff that you would maybe use a microcontroller for.
Yeah, I wanted to call this like the modern parallel port, because computers used to have parallel ports where you would be able to do GPIO input-output, because parallel ports was just like a parallel 8 pins high, 8 pins low, and you could twiddle them. And you can't do that anymore. So you could use them for like SPI or like basic I2C for like old school programmers. I remember we still have a couple like EEPROM programmers that use fake I2C over the parallel port. No computers have parallel ports anymore, but this chip can do it.
Would this be good if someone had like one of those really cheap netbooks and they wanted to get like sensor information in? Would it be?
Yeah,
a bridge?
totally. Like anything where you want to you don't want to get an Arduino involved because it's like you have to pass data back and forth. It gets confusing. This lets you do the raw data just in Python.
Yeah. Okay.
That's an interesting chip.
All
Check it
right,
out.
and Nimbus, the cloud entity, is here, and do you know why?
Why?
Because we have an Internet of Things product to share.
Okay.
I don't know.
Thanks, Nimbus.
Yeah. So today, a big day for Spark.io. If you go to their website, Spark.io, introducing the Photon. It's a $19 postage stamp size hackable Wi-Fi module for interacting with physical things. One of the cool things about it is they have some launch partners. We are one of them, and we made an Adafruit Spark Neopixel ring kit for $25. It is coming soon. It's not for sale right now. The Photon is shipping in March, $19. The Spark Core right now ships immediately. It's $39. And here is our product. It looks beautiful.
Yay! I'm just demoing it with the Spark Core here, which is like the really easy to use web programmable Internet of Things device. It's like a super easy. It's a great system. They did such an excellent job with it. And they've updated it to be even better with the Photon. It's like half the price and like more powerful even. And it's almost completely backwards compatible. So you can develop something with the core and then upgrade to the Photon when it comes out in March. So this is the, thank you. This is the Spark Core that's plugged. I don't want to unplug it because it'll reset and take a while, but it plugs into these socket headers, or you can just solder it directly in if you'd like. And there's breakouts for all the pads on the sides. Maybe I'll quickly just go here so you can see there's these breakout pads, so you can get to all the pins, and there's more breakouts on the back. Ignore the glue thing that we used to stick it onto the table. You can program it over Wi-Fi. You can power it over USB while you're developing, and then we added a plug so you can power it over AAA batteries, a couple AAA batteries, or like a big LiPoly battery or a smaller LiPoly battery. And this is basically our Neopixel ring, and it has a level shifter, so it gets this 3-volt logic, and it'll convert up to 5 volt to make it friendly for the Neopixel. And this is like 10% brightness, so it's really, really bright. I don't want to blow out the camera because I'm trying to learn my lesson not to do that. Yeah. But you've got 24 Neopixels, and
what's amazing, this is Wi-Fi controllable Neopixels.
Rings. Yeah, and it looks great. And you got mounting holes, so we might actually get this out in the store before the Photon, just because the Photon is a little bit more complicated to do. It's like a big project, whereas this Neopixel ring is kind of like, it's like the Neopixel ring we already have plus a couple extra parts. And so we did this as a partner project with Spark.
Spark.io.
They partnered exactly the way I like to do it. They're like, here's the Eagle Cat object. Go make your thing. And I made the thing, and I'm like, this is schematic. This is okay. And they're like, we're just doing this and this. And I'm like, okay, great. You know your platform better than I do.
Yeah.
Made a couple adjustments, sent out prototypes, came back, and of course it worked out the first time because it was like super sweet. And then I put it together. It didn't work. I put another one together. It did work because prototyping, and shot a photo, and it will be in the store in a couple weeks.
Yep. Great group of folks are nice. They're also Minnesota nice, which is extra special nice.
That's so nice.
Okay.
Don't you know?
That is new products. All right, Lady Ada, everything that is for sale that's in stock in the store is 10% off. The code is Spark.
Yep.
Now you know why. And that's the show.
I know, that was an epic show.
Yeah, we have a giant night. So I can answer a couple quick questions. That FTDI cable, the chip. So basically you can plug this in your computer and control basic input-output,
That's right.
Okay.
And we have code that uses Python. There's other libraries for like C and other programming languages, but we suggest Python.
Great.
Use it.
And then let's go back here. There was another one. Oh, the Spark Neopixel ring. It's a coming soon product. You can sign up for it. It's not for sale.
Right. It's not ready. I only have one. This one. It's a prototype. Like really, we don't have a lot of time. But we will put this into production soon.
Yeah.
And it will work with both the core, if you have a Spark core, which is what I have here, or the Photon when the Photon comes out.
Yeah. Next question is, will you ever stock the kit version of TAS 4 or other accessories? Yeah, maybe. It all depends. It's really based on demand. If we get a lot of demand for it, we will. So, I didn't do the question graphic. So those were the questions.
Oh, right.
All right. We have to get out of here, but we're going to give away something, Lady Ada. What is the rules for the trivia?
The rules for the trivia is the first person to answer the question correctly wins the prize. You can put it in the YouTube chat or in the
Ustream chat.
YouTube or Ustream chat. Lots
Yeah.
to use.
They're synced up.
The prize today is an FT232H breakout board. Oh wait, well, the Neo Goggle Kit pack.
What do you want?
Neopixel Goggle Kit, which
Okay.
is cooler. You get a Neopixel Goggle Kit, which is off now, but imagine it's still on. So yeah.
Okay. So here is the question of the evening. Ready?
Yes.
Spark released a new $19 Internet of Things board today. What is the name of it? You can go to spark.io and you'll see it. The name of the board, $19. Internet of Things works with the Spark Neopixel ring that you demoed. And the winner this week is Jimmo Wolf. Congratulations, you got it. It is the Photon. Good work, Jim. Email support@adafruit.com. This is it right here, the Photon. And when you email support@adafruit.com, say that you won and say your prize was the
Neopixel goggles.
Neopixel goggles, because it helps our team remember, because we get kind of tired at night. So when you send an email, make sure you tell them you got the goggle kit. Okay, that is our show this evening. Special thanks to everyone out there who is watching. Special thanks to all the participants on the show and tell. Special thanks to all the Adafruit team members remote and here, and all the folks that are still here tonight working to ship your orders. We'll be here next week. Don't forget the code SPARK. That's 10% off all the way up until 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. Congratulations, our friends at Spark.io, on your launch. And with that, here is a picture of MOSFET, who's resting comfortably, waiting for us to get home to pet him, because he likes us. He meows.
Meow meow.
Here is your moment of Zener.